Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about collaboration strategies and exploring the benefits of working together in co planning. I've been an educator now for going on 6 years, so I'm bringing some of my own personal experience into this as well as some research based strategies for your convenience as well. Of course, being an educator, we're going to start with the objective. So, today, hopefully, you will be able to effectively implement some of these research based co planning strategies by collaboratively planning instruction using student data as well. So, what is co planning? Co planning is a collaborative approach where educators design and refine instructional strategies together. These lessons are engaging, effective, and of course, aligned with that student data. That student data can come from a variety of different resources, depending on your school district, your county, or where you are at. Um, your data is going to be pulled from a variety of different sources. So that's going to affect how you plan as well as just the importance of collaboration. There's so many different benefits to collaboration. It creates a more inclusive classroom environment. It enhances student success. It supports your own professional growth, and it really benefits not only the adults but the children and students as well. So I'd like for you to take a second right now and reflect if your current co-planning strategies support that equitable collaboration and effective instruction. The first strategy we're going to talk about today is a called a whole part whole strategy. In this strategy, uh, the same goal is kept in mind. Both teacher and co-teacher are completing separate tasks, then breaking apart into smaller subgroups and working on a similar skill in two different ways. I'm going to share two different examples of that for you. The first example is one teacher introduces the lesson. That's teacher or box A in the image to the left, while the other co teacher, B, helps students use like a graphic organizer or other resources or manipulatives. Students then will be working in small groups on a similar task or content with both teachers moving around the room to supporting students. Afterwards, everyone's going to come back together and share their results, and teachers are both guiding that discussion. Another example we have is both teachers are working together to show students what to expect in those small groups. Then the class splits in half. Again, one teacher A leads the group while the other co teacher B guides students through the stations. Afterwards, you're still coming back together to reflect on what was done in those small groups, as well as provide possible extra support or enrichments with that other teacher. Both are excellent examples of that whole idea of a whole. Then you're separating into those small parts, and then lastly, coming back together as a whole. So, the second strategy I'd like to introduce to you is called collaborative teaching cycle. And just as it says, you're going to continuously co plan, co teach, and then that last component, co reflect, while you're trying to engage in the lesson and making sure that it is, of course, engaging and fun for not just the students, but you as well. So to give a little more descriptors behind the co-planning, co-teaching, and that co-reflection cycle, during the co-planning stage, you're deciding what to teach, deciding what's most important in the content that you want the students to learn and engage in, any prior knowledge, and of course, this is where you're going to pull out your achievable objectives and measurable goals. This is also where you want to look at any student data you have, whether that's with math, reading, social studies, science, whatever your objective is. You want to look at that student data that you have to help also gauge in the direction of your planning. Next, of course, is that teaching step. You're going to be making decisions about how to engage the students in the learning, making any changes if needed. And you're, of course, going to be continuously assessing your students, whether that's informal or formally. And then, of course, the last step is that co reflection. You're considering the difficulty or the ease that those students grasp the concepts. Of course, if it's too easy, you might go back to that planning step next year or even the next day and think about what you can do differently to challenge those students, as well as the opposite. If that might have been too difficult, you're going to go back and think how that could have been done a little differently so that students understand and grasp the concept. You're also going to recall any of those events in the classroom and review any student work to help guide planning and instruction for the next day, again, or year. That student work is, again, another part of that student data. Of course, we're always going to be looking back and seeing, what could we have improved upon. And then the last strategy is planning templates. There are many different kind of planning templates. The objective of the lesson can depend on the type of template you use. There are very many templates depending and varying in length, whether it's a day, a week, a whole unit. And it's easier to organize thoughts of everyone involved, whether that is going to be your teacher and your co-teacher, or if you have a facilitator that wants to help sit down and plan with you both as well. It's much easier to organize your thoughts, your plan, your strategy on paper. We're going to look at 4 different types, but we're going to specifically talk about one. Like we just said, there's a daily planning, weekly planning, unit planning, and the one we're going to focus on today is the unit planning template with those reflective questions. Throughout my own research and personal experience, it's nice to have that reflection at the end, as we mentioned in the previous strategies as well, because it's always good to improve on what we've done previously. So what is that reflective? What's that look like? Template for specifically new or inexperienced co-teachers, selecting a co-teaching model with that unit plan template and using those reflection questions can help them define their roles and responsibilities while addressing students' needs in that inclusive classroom environment. The co-teacher will learn from each other's struggles and exchange the experiences when they are perceived themselves as facilitators or reflective partners during that planning process. So again, this is another way for you and your co-teacher to establish those roles and responsibilities within the classroom. I think a lot of times we tend to overstep each other's toes, and this is a great way to kind of, lay it all out on paper and say, you're going to work on this, I'm going to work on this, and together we're going to do this. So next slide is just an example of a template with those questions. You can see that they have it all laid out here: a date, a unit, the description. You want your objectives here, any adapting that you need to do due to IEPs or 504s, differentiation, and then a co-teaching model strategy as well down here for you to kind of click off those boxes. And then, of course, we have teacher 1 reflection and teacher 2 reflection, because it's important to note that what one teacher is going to take away from the lesson is going to be different from what another teacher is going to take away from that lesson. So just some overall tips that I have that can be applied to and used for all 3 strategies. You can see here the main one I want to kind of highlight is, like we said, that student data to help drive instruction. That's really important when you're thinking about any of the strategies that we listed. That data helps track what students are learning, how they're growing, and anything, if anything, that the teacher can do to help improve mastery of that skill or content. Here I have some resources listed for you and references that I pulled through my own research of some strategies. There are so many different strategies out there. I really encourage you to also go ahead and dive in and look. A quick Google search is honestly one of the best tips that I could give you as well. And lastly, please take a few seconds to complete the survey here at the end to see what, if anything, I could do better and what you took away from this little lesson. And thank you.